They planned everything to rob my house, steal my money, and lock me away in a nursing home. My own son and daughter-in-law thought I was just a forgetful old woman, a nothing. What they didn't expect was that I was recording every single word. At their wedding anniversary dinner, in front of the entire town, I pressed play. What happened next changed our lives forever. Are you ready to see how an invisible woman toppled an empire of lies? They didn't scream. They didn't argue. They just looked at me and decided I was nothing. Have you ever felt the weight of silence? The kind of silence that cuts deeper than any profanity? My name is Martha Sullivan. I am 68 years old, and today I speak to you from a small, flowery porch in Savannah, Georgia. But what I am about to tell you does not have the scent of magnolias. It is the story of how I died inside my own home in Pennsylvania while I was still breathing. And if you, listening to me now, have ever felt that your children or the people you love most treat you like an old piece of furniture in the corner of the room, pay close attention, because what I did to take my life back will show you that our end only happens when we allow it. I was married to Robert for 42 years. He was my world. When he passed away 5 years ago, a part of me was buried with him in that cemetery of ancient oaks. But I had my son, Thomas. Ah, Thomas. My only boy. I dedicated every drop of sweat, every cent of savings, so that he could have the best. When he married Cynthia and they had the twins, my heart overflowed. "Come live with me," I said. "The house is big. Robert is gone. I want to be close to you." It was my biggest mistake. For the first 6 months, everything was roses. But gradually, the perfume gave way to the musty smell of indifference. Cynthia, with that icy smile and the manners of someone born into wealth, began to dictate the rules. First, it was the small things. My paintings were moved to the attic. My recipes were replaced by dishes I could barely pronounce. I became the free babysitter, the unpaid cook, the person who cleaned up the mess they left behind without so much as a thank you. But the work wasn't the worst part. It was the look. Thomas, the boy I once rocked in my arms, started looking right through me. I would talk about my day or a pain in my joints, and he would just stare at his phone. He looked at me as if I were a smudge on the wall that he couldn't erase. But that annoyed him. They decided that because I was 68, my mind had become obsolete. My voice had no sound. I was just a shadow serving dinner. The turning point, the moment nothing became unbearable, happened on a rainy Tuesday in November. I was in the kitchen, preparing the stew Robert loved so much. I heard voices in the office. Thomas and Cynthia were arguing, but it wasn't a lover's quarrel. It was about numbers. They spoke of liquidity, space, and a place called Silver Oaks. I knew what that was. It was a state-run nursing home on the outskirts of town, a place where people are sent to be forgotten. "She won't even notice, Thomas," I heard Cynthia's voice, sharp as a razor. "The house is worth nearly $1 million. With that money, we clear our debts and move to Florida. Your mother isn't really here anymore, you know that. She lives in the past." My son, the blood of my blood, did not defend my sanity. He didn't say, "She's my mother." He just sighed and said, "I've already started forging the signature on the property transfer papers. The lawyer said that given her age and the fact that we live together, no one will question it." In that moment, something broke inside me. But it wasn't glass, it was a chain. I looked at my trembling hands, and for the first time in years, the trembling stopped. They thought I was nothing? They thought I was a senile old lady who didn't know what a digital signature or an asset transfer was. They forgot I was an accountant for 30 years before I retired to care for the family. They forgot that every brick of that house was paid for with my work, not theirs. I didn't go into the office screaming. I didn't cry. I wiped the kitchen counter, turned off the stove, and went up to my room. I looked in the mirror and saw a woman I no longer recognized, pale in colorless clothes with slumped shoulders. I said to my reflection, "Martha, they've decided you are nothing. Now you're going to show them what nothing is capable of when provoked." From that day on, I started my own game, a game of shadows. I kept serving coffee, I kept cleaning the living room, but while they slept, I was awake. I was recovering every trace of betrayal, every document Thomas thought he had hidden. Their plan was to throw me into a hole and keep my legacy. My plan? To give them exactly what they deserved: emptiness. In the days following that discovery, I became a ghost in my own home. It's funny how people reveal their darkest secrets in front of those they consider insignificant. They spoke openly about selling the house while I served tea. Cynthia examined my oak window frames, commenting on how they would increase the property's value in the luxury market, all while I dusted the furniture just inches away from her. To them, I was just another piece of furniture. But what they didn't know was that every word, every date mentioned, and every lawyer's name that came out of Thomas's mouth was being recorded. I bought a small digital recorder, hidden in an old brooch I never wore anymore. Every night, I locked my bedroom door and transferred the audio to a laptop they didn't even know I had. They thought I barely knew how to turn on the TV, but I was tracking every bank transaction Thomas tried to divert from my widow's account. Their cruelty knew no bounds. One Thursday night, Thomas brought home a real estate agent under the guise of an old college friend. They walked through the house, and I saw the agent pointing to my garden, the garden Robert and I planted with so much love, suggesting they tear it all up to build a modern pool. Thomas agreed, laughing, saying my old plants only served to attract bugs. I was in the kitchen, gripping the handle of a knife so hard my knuckles turned white, but I made no sound. I smiled and offered cookies. The tension inside me was like a pressure cooker about to explode, but I knew time was my ally. I needed concrete proof of the forged signature. I discovered Thomas was using an online notary service, manipulating power of attorney documents. He was being careless, driven by greed, and the certainty that I was a broken woman. One day, Cynthia decided it was time to start cleaning out my room. She walked in without knocking, carrying several cardboard boxes. "Martha, dear," she said in that condescending tone that made me nauseous, "we're thinking of redecorating this floor for the boys. We're going to put your old things in a storage unit. It's better for you, less dust, you understand?" She started grabbing Robert's photo albums. Right then, my patience almost snapped. I felt heat rise up my neck, a desperate urge to scream that this was my house. But I took a deep breath. I looked at her, and with the frailest voice I could fake, I said, "Of course, Cynthia. You know what's best for the family." She smiled, victorious, not realizing that by forcing me to clear out my things, she was giving me the perfect opportunity to remove all my original documents, my jewelry, and Robert's life insurance policies from the house without raising suspicion. I started taking boxes to the home of an old friend, Sarah. To Thomas and Cynthia, I was just being a submissive elderly woman. To me, I was emptying the ship before sinking it. The conflict escalated when I received a phone call by mistake. It was from the Silver Oaks Clinic. "Mrs. Sullivan, we are confirming your admission for the 15th of next month. Your son has already signed all the permanent care transfer terms." My heart raced. The 15th was only 2 weeks after the grand wedding anniversary dinner Thomas and Cynthia were planning to celebrate the family before his influential friends. They wanted to institutionalize me right after using my dear grandma image to maintain appearances in Westchester society. That night, I couldn't sleep. I looked at Robert's photos and asked for forgiveness. Forgiveness for what I was about to do to our son. But the Thomas I raised was not this cold, calculating man. This man was a stranger wearing my son's skin. I realized that if I didn't fight now, I would die forgotten, drugged in a nursing home room while they toasted with my money on the beaches of Florida. I prepared a red folder. Inside were copies of all the recordings, the proof of the forged signature, and the secret house sale contract. But I wouldn't take it to the police yet. I wanted something more. I wanted their fall to be as public as the humiliation they put me through. I wanted them to feel what it's like to be nothing in the eyes of everyone they tried to impress. The strategy now was absolute silence. I began acting even more distracted, pretending to forget things so they would feel confident their plan was working perfectly. Thomas would even laugh behind my back, commenting to Cynthia, "See, she's already fading. It'll be easier than we thought." Little did he know I was just watching his house of cards grow, waiting for the right moment to blow it down. I knew I needed a legal ally. Secretly, I contacted a lawyer specialized in elder rights and real estate fraud. When I showed him the recordings and documents, he was horrified. "Mrs. Sullivan, this is a federal crime. We can have him arrested tomorrow." But I shook my head. "No," I said with a calm that startled me. "I want justice, but I also want them to feel the shame. I want them to lose everything they value, their status." The plan for the dinner was set. I would be the perfect hostess. I would cook, I would serve, and I would wait for the moment the masks fell. With each passing day, anger turned into cold determination. I was no longer old Martha. I was the storm they didn't see on the radar. The day of the dinner dawned with a heavy gray sky. The Sullivan house was buzzing. Cynthia had hired a catering team, but insisted I stay in the kitchen, helping behind the scenes. "We don't want you to get tired in front of the guests, Martha. Stay here, where your place is," she said, shoving a stained apron into my hands. What she really wanted was to hide me. By 7 o'clock, luxury cars began pulling into our gravel driveway. Men in impeccable suits and women covered in jewels entered my living room. Cynthia sparkled in a blue silk dress, circulating through the hall as if she were the queen of a castle that never belonged to her. Around 9 o'clock, the moment they had been waiting for arrived. Thomas stood on a small platform and tapped his crystal glass. Silence fell. "Friends, family, thank you for being here," Thomas began, his voice breaking in a way that would sound convincing to anyone who didn't know his rotten soul. "Tonight, we celebrate 10 years with my incredible Cynthia, but we also celebrate the future. As many know, my mother, dear Martha, has been facing challenges with her health, and we've decided the best for her is specialized care. With that, we are closing a chapter in this house to start a new one as a family." Cynthia wiped a fake tear. That was when she signaled the sound technician. "We've prepared a small surprise," she said. "A video of our best moments." The lights went out. The projector lit up the wall. The first few seconds were wedding photos, soft piano music. But after 30 seconds, the screen went black. The piano stopped. Static filled the speakers. And then Cynthia's voice echoed, loud and clear. "Thomas is a greedy idiot. He doesn't even suspect that half the sale price is already committed to your debts. As soon as we put the old lady in Silver Oaks, I'm taking my share." The shock was instantaneous. Thomas turned pale. The glass shook in his hand. Cynthia froze. But I didn't stop there. On the screen, documents began to appear. Sharp photos of the house sale contract with the word fraud in giant red letters across it. Then, bank statements showing the money Cynthia had diverted. "What is this? Turn it off now," Thomas screamed. But my friend Sarah was in control from the attic. I walked into the center of the room. For the first time in months, I wasn't hunched over. "Her memory is failing, isn't it, Thomas?" I said, my voice firm. "Well, I remember every word you said. I remember how you planned to discard me like trash. And most importantly, I remember who owns this house." Before Cynthia could move, the front door opened. 2 state police officers and my lawyer walked in. "Thomas and Cynthia Sullivan, we have search and seizure warrants and an immediate restraining order. You have 10 minutes to pack your personal belongings. This property is under judicial protection." The silence that followed wasn't the silence of contempt. It was the silence of justice. I looked at my son, who was now crying, not out of regret, but out of desperation at being caught. "Mom, please." It was her idea. I looked at him the way he had looked at me for months, as if he were invisible. "Don't call me mother," I replied calmly. A mother protects her children, but a son who tries to erase his own mother doesn't deserve the title. I eventually sold that mansion. There were too many memories there. With the money, I bought this small cottage in Savannah. Here, the sun rises differently. My neighbors know my name, not because I'm someone's wife or someone's mother, but because I am Martha. Old age is not the end of our usefulness. It is the beginning of our freedom. If you are out there feeling invisible, wake up. As long as there is a beat in your heart, there is power in your hands. Don't let anyone else decide where your story ends. You are the author. You hold the pen. They said I was nothing, and they were right, in a way. I was nothing they expected. I was the justice they didn't foresee. And today, finally, I am just me. And that is all I If this story touched your heart and gave you the strength to never settle for less than you deserve, leave a like right now. Subscribe to our channel for more stories of resilience and triumph like Martha's. Comment below. Which city are you watching this video from? I really want to know how far Martha's voice has traveled today. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next encounter.